The northwestern end of the Solomon Islands is one of the most stunning and remote parts of the Pacific Ocean. But its isolation offers little protection. The world is catching up with this place very fast and, in effect, drowning it.
You think the whole island will eventually disappear?
Yeah, this island will be disappear.
Climate change is not an abstract notion for these islands.
These houses are really falling into the ocean, aren't they?
Yeah. This house is really falling to the ocean.
Or the people who call them home. By matching the old against the new, Simon was able to illustrate just how much of this island is now underwater.
So where we are here now, Liam, was an intact island back in 2002, and since then half of the island has been lost to sea level rise.
So it's only taken the last 16 and a bit years.
Yeah, that's right, but in fact these trees are quite ancient trees. We've dated them to at least 250 years old, so these aren't just, you know, small little shrubs that have come and gone. These are large, stable trees that occupied this once enormous island.
So it's not part of a cycle or a trend?
No, this is a very distinct shift in what was a reasonably stable baseline to a really sudden, over the last 20 years, a sudden loss of the island.
Hard to believe, but as recently as 20 years ago, I would have been walking in the middle of this island's rainforest. This beautiful old casuarina was well and truly in the heart of it. But as you can see now, sadly, the ocean is lapping at its roots, and it will be most certainly the next to go under.
In the past 20 years, sea levels in the Solomon Islands have risen over 15 centimetres, partly through climate change and partly because of trade winds physically pushing water into this part of the Pacific.
And these are the rates that the entire globe is predicted to experience over the next century.
So what's happening here in the Solomons is supposedly what's going to happen to the rest of the world in the next, 50 years?
Like this pretty island called Kale.
Yeah, it's one of our favourite little islands for picnics and fishing. Go out with my family and just relax for the day.
Gladys Habu has just graduated from Monash University with a pharmacy degree. But she grew up in this village called Kia. Kale Island was her family's playground a short boat ride away.
Have you got any photos more recently?
Yeah, so this is a photo I took in 2014, so exactly 5 years later. Yeah, just one day we decided to go for a picnic and it's no longer there, so
yeah,
it was quite shocking.
That's how quickly things are changing in this part of the world. What has stood the test of time for centuries has now been wiped off the map.
Vegetation is one thing, but when you see that homes actually falling into the ocean, it's something else.
There's been dozens of houses lost here to sea level rise just in the last 10 years, really, and that causes an enormous impact on these people's livelihoods.
This is Beni Amina, part of the Seaweed Islands, the most vulnerable of the Solomons Archipelago. There's almost 200 men, women and children who call this tiny plot of land home. And for them, climate change is not an academic debate or a dinner party discussion. It's the reality of seeing their homes and livelihoods washed away and the bleak prospect of an uncertain future at best. This house is the next to go.
This house is next to go. This man owned this house, already go to the village.
He's had to leave.
Yeah, have to leave.
Ben Katua lives here with his wife and small son. Like everyone, they scratch out a meagre existence selling dried seaweed for about 70 cents a kilo. He's lived here 6 years, but questions how much longer they can last.
This house is really falling to the ocean.
And where was the beach before? Whereabouts was the sand?
It's already there, yeah? Just before this house, the beach there.
The beach was over here?
Yeah, it's over here, or down there.
And how long has it taken for the beach to come back here, for this house to almost disappear?
1 year.
Waterfront real estate has a whole new meaning out here.
My island is getting small. I don't know where I'm gonna move on.
Ladies, you tell me. I mean, what's the future?
We don't think we have future, but we just fight for our own life. We don't know what is the future.
You don't think there is a future, Jean?
I don't think of the real future.
That's sad, isn't it? Do you mean by that you think the whole island will eventually disappear?
Yeah. Without doing anything, this island will be disappeared.
And this has been your home?
Yes. I don't know where to move.
These are people that aren't asking a lot of planet Earth. You know, they've got a fairly small footprint on our planet. They're not asking much.
When we see these people hanging onto sand and trees and shrubs, it makes what we have insignificant, doesn't it? Or
Yeah.
it makes our problems insignificant.
I'm constantly in awe of these people, that they're not jumping up and down and whinging and being victims. They're strong, proud people that have lived here for thousands of years.
As leaders gathered for the UN General Assembly this autumn, Tuvalu unveiled to the world their Rising Nations initiative. What they're talking about has never been done before, moving not just the people, but a nation, a culture, a government, and negotiating an entirely new Tuvalu somewhere else, all because of the climate crisis.
When ultimately we are forced to relocate our nation, we do not seek to be a burden on others, but equally, natural justice dictates that we are not caught up with a wasteland. The existential threat we face is not our making, but it will remake us.
They need not just their friendly partners gathered here, but the entire international community to help them and their neighbours, Kiribati and the Marshall Islands, to sail to safety as entire nations.
And to think that where we are now and we're having to have this conversation, you know, it does make you wonder, okay, what will it take to actually get the wake-up call so that all countries step forward?
This is, you know, a human drama playing out silently, out of sight, on the other side of the world. It may begin as a distant problem, but it's coming home to all of us very, very quickly.
A message again repeated in Egypt at the COP Climate Summit last week.
It is either a climate solidarity pact or a collective suicide pact.
A suicide being fast-tracked by the big polluters and big oil.
While they are profiting, the planet is burning.
1.5 to stay alive, and I take no pride in being associated with having to repeat it over and over and over.
For the first time in COP's history, a breakthrough. Tiny island states finally forced money for loss and damage onto the agenda. If agreed, finance which could help buy the islands a little more time. But the inevitable is coming. For many, the thought of losing their homeland still unthinkable.
It's terrifying, especially when you have your kids and grandkids with you. It never escapes my mind 24/7. The gravity of the problem, what needs to be done.